Man, you're gonna be so
Uh-oh.
mad.
Hang on, man. Sorry, 1 second. My bad.
It's already disappointing.
My bad. Hang on. I thought with the new setup I wasn't going to need headphones, but I was wrong. Never happens. Sorry, I'm here.
Never happens.
I
Yeah,
still
you're
can't
gonna
hear
be.
you. Uh-oh. Now I'm nervous. Hang on. One more try.
I,
Then I give up and quit. Okay. There we go. I can hear you.
are you sure?
I'm sure.
Jeez, you're gonna be so upset with my list, and I can't wait.
I'm, you know, I'm still stuck on the last two.
I'm
I,
not.
dude, there's so many, and I like my heart yanks me around. Like, there's some where I'm like, I'm passionate about because I feel like they're underrated and never talked about, and so like that pushes me to want to love them more. And then some of them are so like beloved and everybody talks about them. Like, you know what I mean? It's like almost like Die Hard. Like, you almost take it for granted. Maybe that's why I take it for granted. Is why I like Die Hard 2 a little bit more. You know what I mean? To a degree.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then there was like some of them I was like, well, I don't want to put this one in there because the shtick is more sci-fi action than it is action, and I hate
So
to. Yeah.
I went sci-fi action because
Yeah.
honestly, while making this list, I realized I am much more a fan of the sci-fi within the action than just a plain Jane action movie,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to the 80s and the 90s. Um, and that's going to carry over, and I'm pretty sure most of my list is going to frustrate you. I can't wait. Um, I have six honorable mentions as well.
Hang on, I'm trying to decide my last two.
Tick tock, Mr. Wayne. Tick tock.
Okay. Okay, I think I've got it, and yeah. And once again, I'm just gonna say that I'm completely wrong. Anybody else's list is probably better than mine, just because I have so many honorable mentions that are better movies, but like, the other ones, they speak to me more. They just get me more. They're exactly what I want in that movie that I go to for. You know what I mean? It's like I said, some of these I think I take for granted how awesome they are, and while you're watching them, it might go up, but like that repeat viewing is also what I'm going for.
I think it's interesting for me as well because a couple of these movies could be considered adventure, but there's just enough action that it works for me. And my list as well, it's going to be missing quite a few staples in the action fans' ideas. And, sorry. Those staples are probably on the top 100 list, of course, but these are the ones that speak to me the most and that I always go for or always watch, or like when I'm not in the mood for horror and I'm like, say I'm homesick, this is my top 10. Like, I will reach for one of these absolutely in a heartbeat.
Okay, hang on. Oh my God, it hurts, man. I'm gonna throw in a couple loved ones that I probably shouldn't, but I'm gonna throw them on there. Hang on, I'm gonna put. All right. And now this could change for me. Like, this could change, but this is like the top five are solid. The top five would probably be in my top five favorite of all time, probably. But the rest are like, I love action movies. Who doesn't love action movies? But yeah, so Caleb, you go first for the honorable mentions because I got a ton of honorable mentions.
I could have more honorable mentions, but I stopped at 6. I was just like, this is getting out of hand. Right. So I'll start my honorable mentions with Conair.
Oh.
Absolutely awesome, fun action movie that is just turn your brain off and have fun. Absolutely love it. It's a movie that I will watch at any point.
Put the bunny back in the box.
Exactly. Steve McQueen's Bullet.
Classic.
Love that movie. It's a classic. It's got a little bit of everything for you. And that is the first movie that I watched a car chase scene that I paid attention to the cars themselves. I wasn't paying attention to the driver or the music, or I was paying attention to the cars. And that's where my all-time favorite car is a 68 Dodge Charger, and it came from the bad guy in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know. Then I would go Stone Cold with Lance Henriksen. Yeah. I want to say 1992, 93.
Sounds right.
Somewhere in there. It's arguably a bad movie. Like it is. But it's a fun action movie that I really liked when I was a kid. I had the bootleg recorded from Showtime version that we paid a friend for, you know. And I watched it a lot. And I realized when I was making this list, I used to have it on DVD, and I don't have it. So I need to add that to my list because I absolutely love that goofy movie. What's that leave me with here? I didn't want to add this to my list because of the superhero, and we kind of talked about that. But The Crow City of Angels. Arguably, the first Crow is a better Crow film, but The Crow City of Angels is my favorite. So it didn't go on the top because I don't know how people rank that with superhero, action, drama. So it was a tough one.
It's superhero.
Yeah. This is really, really, really gonna make John mad that it's not my top 10, and that's Rambo First Blood. The first Rambo film is the best. I don't care. It's more of a storytelling movie than it is the straight action. But it has the best story. It has I don't know. It's a great movie.
It's from a book based on based on true events too of things that were happening at the time of our country. Yep.
Yeah.
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 And what's his name in that is the villain, Brian Dennehy. Oh my Lord, so good.
Yeah. I need to go back and watch that. It's probably been, I hate to admit this, it's probably been 8+ years since I've watched it.
Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. I mean, if it doesn't make the list, it's a 10 out of 10, though. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing, is it could be a 10 out of 10 and still not make the list. And it kills me because you know how I like to be like kind of logical about things, and you can't when you try to say your favorites. It's great and it's horrible at the same time.
Now, this one was tough for me, and this is where I cut it off. This honorable mention, I kind of have to pick two because I love both of them because they're goofy. Again, I haven't seen them in ages, but I can pull up the quotes and the memes and all that and laugh along. And that is both Bloodsport and Lionheart. I was thinking about it and I was like, which one? And I was like, I can't decide. I can't. So they both take the number 6 honorable mention spot for me.
Dude, Bloodsport is one of the best like karate sports movies of all time ever. Like, show me the Dumak. And he has to like break the bottom brick, and then his buddy tries to pick it up and he can't do it, so he smashes it over his head. Love that movie.
Dude, the faces in that movie alone just
that was Van Damme's first role, if I remember correctly. He was begging and begging for roles and finally got that one. I'm pretty sure it's his first movie.
Was it?
Pretty sure Bloodsport is.
That sounds about right. Yep. But that's my honorable mentions. I could go on and on and on, and this list could be 100 titles long, and I still wouldn't hit them all. That is just how it is.
Dude, I love this scene where like he tries to break he tries to steal the katana sword, and like the dad cuts the hat off perfectly and he doesn't blink. I was like, he didn't blink probably because he thought he was dead. Like he just you could cut his nose off. I
need to watch these movies again because like every time I see something, I'm like, God, it's so good, and then I totally just like space it. I don't own either one of them, but God, I watched the crap out of them when I was little.
Mm-hmm.
Also, spoilers, Chuck Norris does not make my list.
He doesn't make my list either, man, and I feel bad. I think I grew up like right after Chuck Norris checked out. Like he's like, I got Walker Texas Ranger, I'm done. Like I was around for that, but everything else was just kind of like, I don't know. Like I own all the Missing in Actions. I've been meaning to get to it, but really the only thing I've ever seen him in, I mean, I've seen like Sidekicks, and then I've seen Expendables 2 is like the newest thing I've seen him in. It's the only time I've ever seen him in theaters, other than Dodgeball.
Delta Force and Top Dog were two Chuck Norris movies that I owned when I was a kid. Of course, Top Dog being Chuck Norris's kid-friendly movie, but
yeah, I bought that Silent Rage or whatever he's in, where he's actually like chasing after basically like a supernatural Michael Myers kind of thing, like a juiced up. I don't know. I can't remember. Somebody was talking about it online or YouTube, and I was like, okay, I'm all about it. So apparently in that one, like it's like his darkest movie ever. But anyway, sorry, man.
We'll have to watch that. Yeah, so that's my honorable mentions. And now I've got to turn it over to you. How many honorable mentions do you have?
It's ridiculous. I literally just sat in front of my action shelf, which is huge. Like, and I was just like, okay, so Conair, obviously, great movie, start to finish. That beautiful 90s. If you want everything 90s, go watch Conair. Kills me, man. That Point Break did not make my list. There was two movies that I wanted with Patrick Swayze to make my list, and that was Point Break and Next of Kin. Next of Kin is underrated. If you haven't seen it, go watch that. Smoking Aces, love that movie. Every time I watch that movie, I forget how awesome it is. I know it's awesome, then I watch it, and I'm like, God dang, that movie's awesome.
Yeah.
Under Siege, that one wanted to make the top 10 bad. I love Under Siege. I do. I really do.
I'm not judging.
Heat obviously should be on top 10. It's better than half the movies on here. So good.
It's better than at least half my list.
Yeah, that's what's. I mean, it's a better movie, but it just doesn't. Anyway. Another 48 Hours. I think I like the second one better than I like the first one. I love that. I grew up with that. Boondock Saints really wanted to be on there, but it didn't make it. Two Guns is one of the best buddy cop comedy action movies I've ever seen. Nobody ever talks about it. Nobody ever gives it love. Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg, fantastic. Go watch that if you haven't seen it. Let's see, I already said Next of Kin. Surviving the Game wanted to make my top 10 because I freaking love that movie. I love that movie. I probably watched that movie probably the most out of all these movies I'm going to talk about. Surviving the Game with Ice-T and I can't remember the villain's name, but great movie. Go watch that. End of Watch. David Fincher, phenomenal movie. Phenomenal movie. Start to finish, serious good heart at the end of it.
I still haven't seen that. I need to.
God dang, what a good movie, man. Equilibrium with Christian Bale.
That was Christian Bale's Matrix film, and it was really underrated and underappreciated, in my opinion. Is there cheese? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. But it worked really well for the film. So if you get a chance, I think it's on Tubi TV for free right now. If you're watching this, pause, go watch it, come back. It's a fun movie. Also, I don't think I've seen a DVD for it cost more than $3 in like 10 years. So it's worth the $3.
I own the two copies. It's also based on a book. Very good movie. This SWAT, I think, is a 10. It's a little soft. I can understand how it might not grab everybody, but I love all the actors. Oh shoot, I'm losing all their names now all of a sudden. But help me out, Colin Farrell, awesome. Samuel L. Jackson, awesome. The guy he's in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, the boyfriend. Anyway, I can't think of his name, but and then Hawkeye's in it. Man, all these names. Jeremy Renner. Why am I forgetting his name? People love Cool James. LL Cool J. Ladies love Cool James. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. Anyway, I love SWAT. Love SWAT. Bunraku. Bunraku. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Oh my lord! I've got an extra DVD copy because I just bought it on Blu-ray. So it's got. No, I'm bad. It's got Josh Hartnett. in it. It's got Demi Moore. It's got Woody Harrelson, and it's got Hellboy. Help me out, Hellboy. The two Guillermo del Toro.
Ron Perlman.
Thank you. I'm gonna give you my DVD copy, man. Freaking awesome. Watch Bunraku. Sorry, man. I'm blasting through these now. Losers, love the Losers. Very underrated all-star cast. 3,000 Miles to Graceland. I mean, you got Kurt Russell and what's his name? Kevin Costner. So good. Speed. I love Speed. Speed didn't make the list because it's kind of a Die Hard ripoff. That's my justification for not making it, but I do love Speed. Four Brothers, Copland, and Roadhouse, man. And Roadhouse really, really, really wanted to make my list and didn't make it.
I have to insert 2 more honorable mentions.
All right, go for it.
One, this one's really going to make John mad. And I realized I should have put it in this list, but I didn't. And that is Lethal Weapon, the first Lethal Weapon. It should be in my top 10. It's not. It's close. It'd be in the top 15 to 20. Absolutely. Crap, and I just lost the other one. No, Creed. Creed. I'm not a huge Rocky fan, but the Creed films I really enjoyed. My dad liked Rocky. I was always kind of like wishy-washy. Like, there was fun to be had with them, but they weren't really up my alley. I was more of the Rambo kid. But when I went to see Creed, I was blown away. And Creed 2 still held that status for me. I know some people say it didn't. But
I haven't seen it yet. Sorry. I own it. I haven't seen it.
I'm not going to spoil it.
Okay.
But yeah, I have to say Creed is a good honorable mention for me, especially for I don't watch many fighting movies. I don't really count Fight Club because that's not about the action. It's actually about the opposite of the action.
Right. We don't talk about Fight Club.
Yeah, other than that, Creed is absolutely my favorite boxing movie.
I would have put a Rocky movie in here, but I thought more of that as like The Last Dragon, stuff like that, like sports movies almost.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. So I kind of left them out. Yeah. But yeah, and then here's my last honorable mention. Now, this is a childhood favorite of mine, and it has a lot of similarities. Well, I won't say that, but it's a childhood favorite of mine. Nobody ever talks about it, and that is Chill Factor with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Skeet Ulrich. It is a phenomenal, virus, like Earth-ending kind of end of the world kind of movie. If you haven't seen it, it's super underrated. It's like a high-class B movie. It's so good.
I haven't thought about that since it aired on TNT back in like 2005.
Such a good movie, though.
Wow.
Such a good movie.
That's fair. That's a good drop. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I put way too much thought in this stupid thing where I'm like, I'm kind of pissed at myself because my bottom 2 are dumb. Like, they should not be on this list. But I had to search my soul a little bit. You want to go first? You go. What's your 10?
All right, my number 10 is arguably the least deserving to be in my top 10 list, and that is The Rundown.
Oh, The Rundown, yeah.
I love this movie. It's an everyday movie for me. Like, I could play it in the background over and over and over and over again. I absolutely love all the performances in it. It's got the perfect runtime. It's got the right amount of comedy, the right amount of action. Christopher Walken, I mean,
one of my favorite roles of his. Yeah, it might be my favorite role.
And The Rock's like first, it wasn't his first big acting gig, but it was among his first. And it was a standout with that and Walking Tall and Scorpion King and all those. And Walking Tall is a far better film, but The Rundown,
quality-wise, yeah.
The Rundown is just such a fun movie, and I bought the VHS copy of it when it first came out. Like, I loved it. Yeah. It doesn't deserve to be here, but it is here.
Yeah, the gal from Clerks too, and then Sean William Scott, right? And then
Yep.
The Rock when he still had hair. And then the little guy that when he talks about they go into that fight later on, he's like, "What is that?" It's like spinning Tarzan Jiu-Jitsu. That guy is in Pool Hall Junkies, which is one of my favorite comedies. I don't know him from a whole lot else, but I like that actor from what the 2 movies I've seen him in. But yeah, man, The Rundown is a great movie. That's probably my favorite movie. When I was a kid, dude, that's a good one. God, this is so dumb. My number 10 is Goofy. It doesn't deserve to be on a top 10 list anywhere, but I love it. It's cheesy. It's funny. I love all the actors in it. That's Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. It shouldn't be on anybody's top 10, but it's just it's you know what I mean. It's like Chill Factor really wanted to make the list for me. Surviving the Game. So those are some of my fast food favorite go-tos. Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man is very special because there's just not a lot like it. Mickey Rourke in his early days, what's Don Johnson in his earlier days in the early 90s, post-apocalyptic. It's got one of the, I think it's Billy Baldwin or Alec Baldwin, one of the others is one of the main bad guys. I can't remember the bad guy's name in it, but I love Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. Just a cheesy, fun 90s action movie.
That's fair. That's fair. I haven't seen that in a very, very long time.
My old man always told me before he left this shitty world, never chase buses or women. You always get left behind. I freaking love that movie. I mean, Don Johnson, I wish he was in more stuff, man. Everything I've seen that guy in, he's amazing.
Oh, number 9. What's funny is I caught this movie outside of the craze when it took the world by storm. I caught it like a year later, and I think it was on Netflix. And I watched it like 5 times in a row. And that is the first John Wick. I like everybody else was blown away by the acting in that movie. I was blown away by the very simple story that was done very well. The immersive world that it created that wasn't so wild that you had to have a suspension of disbelief, but had enough action that it still felt a little cheesy, but a little more grounded. The sequels, of course, break that up, and it goes super wild. I mean, there's a book. I mean, that book kills a guy with a book. But with the pencil. John Wick, I don't know how it can't be on somebody's like at least top 100 action movies just because it is so well done. Especially for an action movie in today's world where everything is run by the superhero in action films. That's what it is. You get Marvel and DC and a couple of understudies that get to come up every once in a while, but just a standalone action movie. I mean, most of them wind up being B-rated films. Like I just saw Jason Statham's The Wrath of Man. Yeah. It's on Amazon. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. You know, and I feel like that is the staple action movie that comes out 2 or 3 times a year. So getting a film as good as John Wick, this recent, is insane.
It's arguably the best action franchise in the last 15, 20 years. Yeah, I mean, Bad Boys is still in there now with the 3rd one. That would be a conversation. You got Mission Impossible, which is it's still continuing on to this day. I'd say the most consistent is probably Mission Impossible. But yeah, John Wick. Spoiler alert, John Wick did not make my honorable mentions or my top 10. I like John Wick. I've seen the first one and the second one. Don't remember a whole lot about the second one. I've got the trilogy on 4K. I, for whatever reason, don't feel the need to rewatch them. It doesn't have enough heart for me for some reason or something like that. I think it's great. I think he's just so good that it kind of takes some of it out of it. You know, like in Taken, his daughter's gone. His wife's gone, or his ex-wife, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's always a need, a reason, like, In the first movie, it's all vengeance, and that's fine. In the second movie, it's from for whatever reason, it just doesn't quite hook me. But I would take nothing away from it. John Wick is awesome, and it deserves all the praise it gets. That's just the only reason why I didn't make mine. But anyway, my number 9 is the last goofy one to make the list that it wasn't even thought about, and then it just crept all the way to number 9. That's Tango and Cash. Buddy cop comedies are some of my favorite. It's cheesy, it's dumb, but what's that guy's name that plays the villain? Nicholson. Anyway, I can't remember. Jack something. Anyway, Jack something or other. He's awesome. And obviously Kurt Russell and Stallone are fantastic. I mean, it's just it's one of my childhood staples that I felt like had to go up there. I would throw it on anytime, and if it's on TV, I'd stop what I was doing and watch it.
That's fair. My next one is my second to last goofy pick. The second to the last one's much higher up, and John's gonna be way more disappointed with that one than this one. My number 8 is another Dwayne Johnson movie, and that is Faster. I love that movie. It's not like a mind-bending action movie that just is. It's not John Wick status good by any means, but it's got the right grain to the camera lens. It's got the right kind of revenge story. It's got muscle cars, and it's got Billy Bob Thornton, and it's got the hitman angle and all the. It's a fun movie that almost feels like that kind of 70s-esque feel that Tarantino tries to grab, but goes. And this is no offense to Tarantino, but Tarantino does go over the top. Right. This film feels much more low scale, but the same kind of idea. I really, really love that movie, and I remember when I first saw a trailer for it, I was like, "What? No, I don't want to see this." And then it was in the $3 rack at Walmart. I was like, "Sure, why not?" Picked it up. Wound up being one of my favorite action movies ever, and that's crazy. Like. I don't know how many other movies I passed up on because I was like, oh, God, this looks horrible. Or, meh. And then, what?
I think they dropped the ball on marketing a little bit, and I think they dropped it on the poster. Poster's kind of weak. I like it, but it's kind of weak. I think that they were trying to bank on him being popular just enough, but he hadn't blown up quite yet. Like, he was still good, but he wasn't anywhere near like he is today.
I think they were banking on his popularity from Fast 5. Because I think that was right around the same time.
Faster came out a few years before. Faster came out in like 2000. I don't know, 2004, 3. No, I don't remember.
No.
It didn't come out after 2008.
Oh, really?
2008. Stop it. Is it really?
2010.
Was it really?
Yeah. Let's see what Fast 5 was.
There's no way. It came out before. I will swear that on the Bible.
It did. 2011. 2011.
Thank you. My bad. For some reason, I thought that was older. Why am I thinking that's... my bad. I'm way off on that. But, yeah, I knew that one came first. But, yeah, I feel like Fast 5 is what really solidified him. Like, Faster is great. But, I think Fast 5 is really what made him. But, I mean, the fact that he was pumping out a ton of movies every day also helped. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's a solid movie. Makes me want to watch that and Drive. You know, if you
Drive is that would be a good back-to-back movie sequence.
Although 60 seconds.
Oh yeah, watching Drive, I was sitting there when I remember watching the movie being like super in depth, and then when he goes to clean the carburetor in his apartment, I'm like, don't get that on your kitchen table, because if I'd have brought something like that in the house, I'd have got my ass handed to me.
Let's see. So my number 8 holds a special place in my heart. Is mine and one of my best friends' favorite comedy actions, and that is Beverly Hills Cop. I actually just watched that Finished it last night. Watched it a couple nights ago. Beverly Hills Cop 2, if I didn't say that, my bad. First movie's great. It's a solid 10. Beverly Hills Cop 2, you know, it speeds forward through some of the character development. It can focus more on the action and the jokes. I like the villains a little bit better. Beverly Hills Cop 2 is it's one of the best buddy cop comedies of all time.
Yeah. No, that's a good pick. It's not in mine at all, but it's worthy of it. Like I can't challenge that at all.
Yeah.
We're working through this list pretty quick. Number 7. We talked about this movie around Christmas, I think. My number 7 is Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yeah.
That's right. I still put my favorite Die Hard movie in this. Is the first movie better? Arguably so.
It is.
But this is my favorite in the franchise. I have more memories with it. I had more exposure to it with my brother. We sat down, we watched it, we ate pizza. You know, I have all that nostalgia around it. So that, to me, is a better experience, a better movie, but arguably on paper, on screen, the first film is far better. For me, Die Hard with Vengeance.
Well, I mean, Bruce Willis carries that movie. Now, he's the one that takes it to the next level. With another standard action guy, it would just be another action movie. But Bruce Willis is his comedic timing, his little banter and stuff like that, he makes it. The third movie is even better than the first movie because he has more banter. You know, he's got a headache. He's hungover the whole time, smoking cigarettes, watching Captain Kangaroo. And then he's got Samuel L. Jackson with him and the chemistry between them. Zeus is in Father of Apollo, Mount Olympus. Don't me or I'll shove a lightning bolt up your way up.
Zeus.
I mean, that movie it's great. The only reason I think it's a little below the first movie, and I can understand being your favorite, but that third act is a little weak sauce. But other than that, the whole movie's on fire, and the chemistry between them two. They were hoping to make a sequel to that movie a few years back, and it was supposed to be a reunion of the Nakatomi incident, and he was supposed to take Samuel L. Jackson like on vacation with him to Japan, and it didn't happen, unfortunately. I was really hoping that would happen. It could have kind of saved the franchise, maybe, or at least ended it on a better note. But no, yeah, man, Die Hard with a Vengeance. Heck yeah, man, that whole movie from start to like last 5 minutes, amazing. Anyway, my number 7 is Die Hard 2. Die Harder.
Hey!
Now, I think Die Hard 2 is obviously a ripoff of Die Hard, even though Die Hard 2 is from a different book. But Rennie Harlan directed it from A Nightmare 4. It does everything the first movie does to me, and it does it a little bit better. The villains are not as good as Hans Gruber, but there's more of them. There's a lot more standout characters, whether it be the control tower director, the lieutenant, the two different villains, and then all the little villains below them. His wife is back. The news reporter dude is back. It's not a better movie than 3. It's not a better movie than 2. 4 is probably better. It's obviously better than 5. But Die Hard 2, it just gets me. More action, more John McClane, more bad guys, and go. I completely understand if it's like second from the last to anybody. I would completely understand that. It just gets me for all the right reasons, but I can see its flaws, and I completely understand. But yippee-ki-yay, what is your number 6?
All right. This falls hard in the sci-fi action category, but it is a movie I was raised with from before I can remember. There were action figures. There were comics. There were cartoons. There were toys. I think there was a video game. That is Robocop.
Yeah, 1987 masterpiece.
This movie, does it deserve to be in the top 10? Yes, I don't care. It just does. I don't have a negative thing to say. It understood its audience. It was mocking the time. It's also very, very relevant to today. It it's the perfect balance film. And none of the sequels, 2 and 3 didn't get it right. The reboot didn't get that right.
The undertones, the overtones, the hidden messages, the in your face, like the subtle dark comedy, just all of it, dude. Like, I made a RoboCop reference the other day, and everybody looked at me like I was insane. Where the lady is like, she's got that green gel on. She's like, you know, sunscreen 2000. She jumps in the pool and stuff like that, and like my mom said, she applied sunscreen. It like turned my whole brother's arm like white. I couldn't get it off of him, and I made that. Sunscreen 2000, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm a nerd that nobody would ever get that. My bad. I love RoboCop.
I'm shocked you didn't make the Joker reference when they're at the beach.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Those ruby lips.
Yeah.
No. Anyway. Yeah. The whole. Yeah.
RoboCop. I mean, the TV show, the Prime Directives movies. None of them got that. They got RoboCop. Like the cop himself, right, in most places, but they didn't understand the rest of the material. And I think that's why the first movie stands alone. Like, arguably, the bar's way up there, and your next favorite movie, no matter what it is, comes in way down here. It just misses. And unfortunately, I feel like that's what happens in most franchises. For whatever, I love RoboCop 2. It's not nearly as good as the first. 3
it falls on its face so hard in the third act because the jumping off buildings, the horrible animatronic CGI crap. If they would have just toned it down a little bit, that last third act is so bad.
And see, in the first movie, they understood what they were working with CG, and they made it a running joke in the movie, like when he trips down the stairs, when Ed 209 trips down the stairs. Like, they know that they're using stop motion and what their budget is, and so they use funny noises or a different sound tone, and they work with what they have. The rest of the movies tried to take it in a much more serious tone, and same with the TV show, and same with the Prime Directive series. It just the reboot, yeah, they went for full serious, and they missed the heart of the intent, and that's kind of sad.
I will say, I know I'm in the very, 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 very low minority, but I will say that the reboot does not live up to the original, but is better than most people give it credit for. I watched it not too long ago, man. The heart in the movie, like it explores the family aspect a little bit more. It goes into depth of like what he's lost a little bit more, and like Michael Keaton, it's one of his returns to the screens once he came back from being a full-time dad. Samuel L. Jackson's awesome in it. It deserves more attention. I'm not saying it deserved a sequel, but it was. I really like that movie.
I will say, it was such a cool time to be like a fan of pop culture, because when that was announced, RoboCop became Batman in the Dark Knight Returns animated films. So you had Batman going into RoboCop's world, and you had RoboCop going into Batman. And it was just like, my mind could not handle all that information. The Dark Knight Returns animated films are amazing. I know that's not what this is about. That's a plug. It's great. If you get the chance, go watch them. Peter Weller should voice Batman more often.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, RoboCop is my number 6.
Yep.
Yep.
I'd buy that for $1. Go watch the remake again and tell me it's not good. Anyway,
no,
my number 6 is, man, this thing wanted to go tippy top, and then it just got dethroned the more I thought about it. Now that is could be the best comedy action romance movie of all time, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Come on, Caleb.
Don't say True Lies.
It's True Lies, baby. Tom Arnold's best movie. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis. Who knew? Man, that gal can dance. And I should have known that, but at the time, I'd never seen Staying Alive. Anyway, True Lies, man. It's funny. It's Elijah Dushku, was in before she was in Buffy, before she was in Wrong Turn and Dollhouse and all that stuff. She plays the daughter. You got what's his name? Bill Paxton, rest in peace, as the squirmy little would-be love interest, fake assassin dude.
Yeah,
Is that Paul? What's up, Paul?
I absolutely was too young for that movie when I was watching it all the time. And the older I got and I started getting the references with Bill Paxton's character and then Arnold's like forced to dance and the voice and trickery and the relationship and all that, I was just like, oh my God. Like once I started picking up, I was like, this is the most adult movie marketed to teenage kids ever. Like, dude, it's like, I was probably 6 or 7 years old watching that, and I'm like, I'm not that. Well, maybe I am. Maybe I'm damaged. I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah, the main bad guy is also the same dude. I can't remember his name. That played the Mummy in the Mummy first two movies.
Yeah, Emotep.
Yeah, Emotep. Yeah, dude. Just a great movie from start to finish. There's nothing in it that bothers me. I love all of it. I mean, it's amazing. It just really is. We need to get a Blu-ray copy. It's been sitting ready to go since 2018. James Cameron said he needed 24 to 28 hours to review it and stamp it, but he said he was too busy working with Avatar movies. We need to get through these freaking Avatar movies so we can get True Lies on Blu-ray.
The first Avatar was 2008. It is 2022.
That's all he cares about.
I don't get it. It's not gonna. I don't.
He's already shot 2 of them. So
I really liked Sam Worthington, but I feel like I'm not interested in Avatar 2. Like
at all.
I'm not.
First one was great, and I know people like it's a great movie, but guys, it really is Terminator Dances with Wolves aliens. Like it's nothing new. It looks great. It's acted well, but it's nothing special.
James Cameron took the same tricks that he had up his sleeve and put different characters and different costume designs on them.
Right. Great movie. It's not original. Yeah. Commando is one of my favorite horror movies, Paul says. Fair. Oh, dude. Paul, I watched Commando for the first time with Greg, our Uncle Greg. And Greg was awesome because he would always let me watch like the old 80s like Van Damme and Seagal movies that you shouldn't see. And unlike your parents that would be like, hey, watch your eyes for like PG-13 movies, Uncle Greg didn't care at all. So thanks for that, Uncle Greg, and teaching me how to fish. Appreciate that. But Commando is so good. Dude, when he's holding Sully over the cliff and he's like, remember when I told you or promised to kill you last? He's like, I lied. And he lets him go.
Yep.
In the movie, the director actually wanted him to just hold the dude. And Arnold was like, are you insane? I'll kill him. Like, I might let go of him. So they used a crane. But Commando, I love that movie so much, Paul. You're right. It's a great movie. I wish that they would have done a sequel to it, which would have been Die Hard, but they didn't. Kills me. Terminator, obviously, even Twins with Danny DeVito. I just watched Twins this weekend with my brother Dylan. It's one of our favorite movies together. Exactly the same here. He showed me all those. Bruce Lee. You love karate movies. Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. But anyway, so that was my number 6 was True Lies. Not a negative thing to say. Freaking love that movie. Super, super beautiful movie. What's up? It's going to get ugly.
My number 5. No, this is a rational choice. My number 4 is an irrational choice.
Okay.
Number 5 is an Arnold movie. As many of you may or may not know, all 6 of you who watch these videos, Arnold is my all-time favorite action star, actor, all that. I've followed his career since I was a little kid. It's a problem. It's unhealthy. He's not a good actor. It's not meant to be ironic. He's just who I liked. It's a thing. So, number 5 is... What do you think it is?
I'm thinking it's End of Days.
It's Predator.
My bad.
When I was a kid, I went to Wyandotte County Library multiple times, and you had to have an adult check out the movie for you. Every time I tried to rent the first Terminator, I got Predator. They did not understand the difference. It happened so many times, and I was so mad because the cases you couldn't see through, so I just took it at face value and took it back and popped it in, and nope, it was Predator. So Predator, I've had a long, weird relationship with. I love the movie to death. I watched it more times than I intended to because I was trying to see the first Terminator as a kid. And Predator is, I mean, it's just the action buff sci-fi horror movie that it just blends everything perfectly. And I mean, the character design of the Predator, I'm so glad they didn't go with what they originally were going to throw Jean-Claude Van Damme in.
Yeah, in like the crab suit. Oh yeah, the crab kangaroo looking thing. Yeah, it was absolutely garbage. Yeah, he was there for I think was he like 2-3 days and he quit.
Yeah,
yeah.
That was probably the best career move he could have made, and also it made Predator 10 times the movie, because if that crab suit was what was in the movie, nobody would watch it today. It wouldn't be the same.
And they wouldn't be together on screen again until well, they technically weren't there, but Expendables 2. And they never actually shared screen time.
Nope.
Yep.
Still waiting for Expendables to actually bring that scene where, like, you get Arnold and Jean-Claude Van. You get, like, I mean, you get little snippets here and there, but they kind of missed that opportunity by focusing, no offense, on Sylvester Stallone. Like, they spend 3/4 of the movie talking about how he's struggling, how he's not doing okay, and how his favorite new expendable has problems or gets killed.
Yeah. No, yeah, he just turned 76 not too long ago, so happy birthday to him, Sylvester Stallone. Yeah. My number 5, this has to happen. Every time we do this, it has to happen. We got close with the Die Hards, but number 5 is Predator. It's one of the best action movies of all time. It just is. Like, you got these testosterone steroided out dudes that they just go through and they lay waste to the entire jungle trying to kill this predator. You know, if it bleeds, we can kill it. Yeah. You know, there's just so many good one-liners too. Like, you're hit, you're bleeding, man. I ain't got time to bleed. Boom! It's like, you got time to duck. Like, I wouldn't wish that on a broke dick dog. You know, like, it just never stops. The 2 jokes from what's his name in the movie, they're 2 rated R. I won't say those, but that movie from start to finish is just nonstop adrenaline, and then the end, like, it slows down enough to keep the tension. Man, it's so good, so good.
That movie has a build, and I remember when I was a kid, I feel like a lot of people pick their favorite scenes as like when it's actually Arnold versus the Predator. I remember thinking my favorite scene was watching Arnold come down the waterfall and then watching the Predator try and stalk him and trace him.
That's pretty sweet.
I think that was the first time where I, like, really discovered how much I like horror because of that instance. Like, that's a good shot. That's a really good shot. Stand by that.
Dude, I might have told this story before, but my old ringtone for my brother's name is Dylan, and in the beginning when they lock hands and they do the
son of a bitch.
Yeah, and so I actually had that as my ringtone on my phone, and my mother got my old phone when I upgraded. So one day she was in Home Depot looking around the craft section, and my brother was trying to call her, and she didn't change that ringtone, and it just kept repeating, "Dylan, you son of a bitch," and my mom couldn't figure out how to turn the volume off, and it was so awesome. The Predator it's crazy that it's the highest, almost the highest Arnold movie on my action list. Arnold made 3 movies on my action list. Sly didn't make any. Spoiler alert. No Sly on my, and that hurts. And if I didn't say Copland, I did say Copland, but yeah.
Man, I got 2 more Arnie movies on here. So number 4, this is where John gets mad. The rest of the choices he might get a little bit, but this is where he gets mad because he, for some reason, hates this movie.
Oh God.
And I love it. And that's The Chronicles of Riddick.
What?
I love this movie. And he knows this. I saw it in theaters multiple times. I got the DVD when it came out. My brother and I used to just watch this movie over and over again. I love Chronicles of Riddick. It is endlessly enjoyable for me.
I like
Is
the
Pitch
part where
Black a better movie? Probably. Is Riddick a better movie? No. Are the games amazing and better than this? Absolutely. Escape from Butcher Bay is great. But this movie, and I'm really sad that this universe didn't take off as far as it could have. And there's always, the Fury is coming and Riddick's coming back, and Riddick wasn't good. Fury is not going to be great either. It's too late for this. This franchise had to have been dished out in equal segments of time for it to work. It's not like Halloween. It's not like the other movies where you can successfully do it 20 years later, 40 years later. This movie, nobody remembers this. Nobody remembers Chronicles of Riddick. Nobody remembers Pitch Black. They aren't movies that people seek out as much as other sci-fi properties. You can do it with Alien. You can do it with Predator.
Pitch Black is a cult. Pitch Black is a cult classic. Chronicles of Riddick, for all intents and purposes, was a letdown. And then the third one, I went and saw it in the theaters and thought it was okay. Man, it's one of Carl Urban's worst roles. Like, he just doesn't fit the bad guy in that movie. I don't know if he's just too baby-faced at the time, or maybe it was some of his delivery.
No.
It was also one of those things, I just didn't believe one guy could take out this entire armada. And I really don't like the vampire thing where, like, you take out one person and you killed all the rest of them, kind of a thing. I get it, because it's kind of like Black Panther, you fight the king, you become the king, or something like that. It's like that old, like, mobster, not
you
mobster, but you know what I'm talking about.
The line in Chronicles of Riddick is you keep what you kill.
Yeah.
Which, it really had the bones to go further. And at the time that it came out, everybody thought, if we spin our movie off into a video game and a comic book, everybody's going to love it. And then they did an animated film, and then they did another video game. And they realized, people were playing them, but the general audience wasn't. So when you go to Riddick, what was that, 2013, 2014? Nobody knew how Riddick got where he was, because the last time they saw him was Chronicles of Riddick, and he had just become the king. And now he's on a deserted planet, stuck.
Right, they bail on him in the beginning of the movie. Yeah, they bail on him. Like, what? Like, it's really weak how they start off that movie.
And it's because when they made that movie, they just expected you to understand what happened in the comic, the game, the animated film. They expected you to know this. But the general audience doesn't. People who were fans of the film like me, they knew, they got it, they saw it, they played it, it's cool, we're good. But again, I used to be of the mindset that, cool, it makes me an exclusive member to know this stuff. Nowadays, it's so annoying, because this, like John always says, it was this close to greatness. This close, and it tanked because of the decisions they made in the end.
Yep.
I think that this universe, these characters, had the ability to keep going and do their own thing, and it just fell. So yes, Chronicles of Riddick is a movie that I find endlessly entertaining and endlessly frustrating because of the potential that was wasted.
Well, it makes me excited to go back and rewatch it. So I'll probably go back and rewatch that one, and then I'll watch Pitch Black, and then I'll go watch the third movie. You know what I mean? Kind of like, watch it, see how I feel, go back to the comfort zone, and then rewatch Riddick, because I haven't seen that in forever. But yeah, my number 4 is one that Caleb will talk about here shortly, and that is T2. Now, you're probably wondering, like, I don't like to double up. So if I pull one movie, I'm not going to pull it from the rest of the franchise. Like, if I did Lethal Weapon 2, I'm not going to throw Lethal Weapon in here. It's just not what I do. I pick my favorite, it gets one spot, move on. T2 is more action. It is action sci-fi. The first movie is horror sci-fi. It has some action for the most part, but the second movie is sci-fi action with a dash of horror. So T2 is my number 4, and I would argue with nobody on any list, if you made like actual best movies of all, action movies of all time, T2 should probably be number 1. So I once again I'm wrong, but this for me is where it falls. And you know, there's not a whole lot of negatives for this movie. The extended version is the only way to watch this movie. The defects, since it's a prototype and that all the damage starts to mess with it a little bit at the end. I like that because it just gives a little bit more character, a little bit more vulnerability to the T-1000. Something to make you believe that they would be able to, you know, stay away from it for a little bit. It just adds a little flavor to the movie. I think is good. So T2, for all intents and purposes, I think it's a masterpiece. I really just have little to no. The only thing I have said this before, I'll say it again. The only thing I would have maybe changed is if you see Genesis, the T-1000 in that one cuts its arm off and turns it into a spear, throws it up in the air, and then chucks it with the other arm. I thought that was so cool. Just kind of a fun little gimmick with it. And the other thing I thought was really cool is if when he goes and in the deleted scene, I don't believe it's in the extended, I could be wrong, when the T-1000 goes to see the dog and kills the dog because it foiled his plan, I wish that it would have imprinted the dog and then at the very end of T2 use the dog to chase him down. Or in a spot where they're in the chase scenes, use a dog. I just think that would have been super intense, creepy, and weird. I know it's going a little too far, but I think it would have been really cool. Anyway, Paul said that he loves Arnold for so long, but Dwayne Johnson is now his #1. I get that. I love The Rock. I do. Robocop video game trailer dropped today.
I am waiting to watch it. I haven't
seen that yet.
Waiting till I get a moment to myself, which has not happened yet today. So, yeah, I'm really excited. I did watch the Clerks 3 trailer. Super stoked about that. But I can't believe you put T2 at 4. That's just...
Well, my #3 are probably in my top 10 of all time. So, I mean, my top 2 are in my top 5 of all time. Of any genre, of anything.
That just hurts my feelings. #3 for me is another Arnold movie. And it is the most quotable movie, I think, ever.
Hold on. Well, give me a quote before you say it. Give me a weak quote. Come on. Sorry if I put you on the spot. My bad.
What's this?
Oh, God, what does he say? No, hang on. He goes, it's wearing thin, bingo, and it's obviously The Last Action Hero. Yeah.
Yes. The Last Action Hero. I have had so many copies of this movie throughout my life. I can't even explain how many. I used to have all the toys. I had a movie poster. Like this movie. And it's crazy because so many people hated it because it was so meta. And at the time, that it missed the mark of being meta just by this much. And there was plans for a whole franchise with this, and it just got shot down the crapper because it got low ratings. But it has become one of those movies that action fans are like, that one is greatness. And it's crazy. People just didn't like the exploring, oh, how can Jack Slater go fight Arnold Schwarzenegger? That doesn't make sense. Well, it's meta. It's two different universes. They're bringing it together. In the world of the multiverse that we have now with Marvel and the DC extended universe, it would work. It would work a lot better. But the movie would be subpar quality. So I am extremely happy with what we have. I love rewatching that movie. I love its pie, you Sicilian schmuck. I love that movie. It is endlessly quotable. There's great scenes, great actors. I mean, the way that the ticket is magical and brings other movie characters to life in this is awesome.
I love it at the end where he grabs the cab driver at the end and he's like, you know, the part of the movie where the guy says, "Make my day," or whatever else he says. He's like, "Rub a baby buggy bumpers," and he turns around to him. He's like, "Ha, You didn't know I was gonna say that, did you? And the kid's stunned. He's like, I don't Rubber Baby Buggy Bumpers. It always makes me laugh.
And that's a perfect scene because it's him like going crazy. Like he's not doing okay with the fact that his world is completely different. It's like Iron Man 3, but much better.
Yeah, it's another one of those great 90s movies that's like holding on to the greatness of the 80s, but has kind of perfected the cheese comedy. Oh my God, that movie's great.
And the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Megadeth, Alice in Chains, AC/DC, a lot of unreleased tracks. That soundtrack's awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's got Tywin Lannister as the main bad guy from Game of Thrones. So good. Yep. I love it when the guy's in the pool. He's like 360. He's like 180. You stupid moron. He's like,
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I love that movie. I love that movie. It would not make my top 10. Didn't make my honorable mentions, but I do love that movie. Yeah. Let's see. My number 3 is something I feel like I talked about this every week. So I'm going to blow through it. My number 3 is, any guesses? I talk about it every week.
Dude, you talk about a lot every week, so I'm going to go Alien.
Yeah, Aliens, man. Aliens. Game over, man. Game over. It's one of the best action sci-fi anything. Horror, it's got everything. Got the comedy. It's got a little bit of romance. It's got the family heart stuff going on, and the depth in it. It's a little long. It's an investment movie. It's not something. It's so good. I'll never have it playing in the background. It always deserves my full attention every time I watch it. Sigourney Weaver's best movie, in my opinion. Michael Bihn's maybe best movie ever. Same thing with what's his name? Lance Henriksen. Bill Paxton. God dang, Bill Paxton was in Predator. He was in Predator 2. He was in Terminator and Aliens. How do you do that?
One of my favorite things, and I know we recently revisited Alien versus Predator, and both of us felt very lackluster about revisiting it all these years later. It left much to be. It just wasn't as strong as it was when it came out. But
it's okay. Yeah.
The return of Lance Henriksen was like arguably my favorite part. Like seeing him back in, and again, as I've said every time John talks about Alien is not my favorite franchise by any means. That does not mean that I don't respect it and I don't enjoy it. That just means that it's not as high up for me. It doesn't work as well for me. I think that is a great choice. It didn't make my list. And it's great performances from everybody there. Like, it just is. It's a great movie.
Just once again, the endless quotes of, get away from her, you bitch. Like, and then at the end with the flamethrower staring her down, it set the template of let's take the first movie and just make it bigger. Make everything bigger, brighter, faster. It's just so good. And then the third movie, it does like what you were talking about with Riddick, where you had Pitch Black, and then you had Chronicles of Riddick, which turned everything up, and it should have worked. Didn't for me, didn't for a lot of people. And then what do you do? You're like, well, we can't really turn it up some more. And everybody loved that first movie. So what we'll do is we'll go back to that first movie. Well, once you turn things up, nobody really wants to see it turn back down, if that makes sense. It's the same thing with T3. Absolutely. Like, it just doesn't work. Like, anyway.
Absolutely. You are on the money. Number 2 is a complete and blatant ripoff of one of John's honorable mentions. And that is Fast and the Furious. It is copy and paste. It's just instead of surfers, it's cars.
Yep.
But it works. The first movie in that franchise is an action staple. It's a car guy staple. it's like the perfect balance of that late 90s, early thousands action. You have Vin Diesel, you have Paul Walker, you have a script that's pretty basic. It's an easy to digest story. It's before, oh my god, I have not seen the last one and I don't want to. Like, it's before it got that bad.
Right. Jumping cars off of like buildings, like 100-story buildings or whatever.
Well, now they have cars that go to space. But the first Fast and the Furious is arguably a great movie. It's a fun time. I mean, that 70 Dodge Charger is beastly, although I do know that they built it on the cheap, put a fake blower on it, and put a Chevy 350 in it, which is kind of a disgrace to a car that looks like it has a 440 big block that's blown. So that kind of breaks my heart. But, you know, I'll leave that alone because I am somewhat of a car nerd. And also, as a teenager, I had the wildest crush on Michelle Rodriguez. So, yeah.
Yeah, she's still a knockout to this day. She hasn't aged. Yeah, man. You know, it really is a good movie. Solid all the way through. And it's something where, like, it puts you in the driver's seat. Pun intended. God, I hate that when people say a pun and they act like they didn't. But it puts you in there, and it makes you feel like, you know, you shifted. You've tried to give a car more than it's got. You know what I mean? You've driven it to the point where you thought it was going to blow up. You know, you've had some fun times. It feels like you could be in this movie having a good time with these guys. That you put some money down. You know what I'm saying? And at the end where they go crazy and like you feel that friendship and stuff like that. You feel the stakes when he's hanging from the semi. It's intense, but it feels kind of real. Like the danger is real. It's not like Vin Diesel catching Michelle Rodriguez in the middle of an interstate, like spinning 180 and then hitting a car and just getting up from it. It feels like real things are happening. And the franchise loses that after that, basically after that first movie. Second movie's not terrible. 3 is, you know, it's a little crazy, and 4 is not too bad. But after 4, it just gets terrible. But anyway, yeah. I like the Fast and franchise, Fast and Furious franchise. I just think that the Point Break is a better movie overall. But definitely, Fast and Furious is amazing. Definitely a solid number 3, right, for you? Number 2.
2.
God dang, number 2. That's a little up there, buddy. You put that over Predator.
Yeah. So I rank these on what I go for, when, and how.
Yeah.
Fast and the Furious is like an all year round movie for me. I can pop it in at any point. Doesn't matter what mood I'm in, how I feel. It's one of those movies. And, you know, I said the same about The Rundown, my number 10, but it's a different kind of mood. Like I can watch it for the cars, I can watch it for the comedy, I can watch it for the action. That's a whole lot different than just The Rundown where you're watching it for the comedy and the action. You get a little bit less, you know?
All right, hang on, man. Hang on. And Caleb, it don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning. Number 6, Jabari's got number 6, John Wick. Number 5, Dark Knight. Fury Road. I like Fury Road in there. Nice, very nice. Casino Royale, very nice. Aliens and T2. All right, man. Heck yeah. Jabari, no spoilers, but I want to know, have you seen, and Caleb, have you seen the newest Bond? I just saw it 2 weeks ago. Did not like it. First half is solid, and then the end kind of fell on its face. But let me know, Jabari, if you've seen it. But
I've only seen the first of this gentleman's Bond films.
Casino Royale is strong. It helps if you watch them back to back because most of them build on the previous movie. Yeah. The new one, like it hit so many right points, and then at the third act, it was like, we're done with the movie now. It just felt like, okay, rush, done. I don't know. Anyway, haven't seen it. Oh, dang it. I want to talk to somebody about it because I just saw it, and my mom and I, my wife were all like, and they offered him $75 million to come back, so this is definitely his last movie because he didn't want to do this movie, so that sucks. But no, good list though, man. Oh, my number 2, man. I did hear Thor 4 sucked, and I knew it would. Aha! I want to talk about this for one quick little second before I get to my number 2. Thor Ragnarok sucks. It's one of my least favorite MCU movies because of the stupid comedy, because of the stupid limited threats for the jokes that never stopped. And they did the same thing but turned it up from what I heard. The only thing I heard that's really good about it is Christian Bale. And this is what you guys wanted. You guys all love Ragnarok. Well, get what you asked for. Not mad at you, Jabbar. I'm mad at everybody that liked Thor Ragnarok and blew it out of proportion. And now that's all they're going to do is this gimmicky 70s music crap.
I liked Ragnarok. I still think the first Thor was a much better Thor film. The first Thor is the best Thor film. Me too.
Yep. So yeah, my number 2, I'll be your Huckleberry. Skin that smoke wagon, see what happens. Just gonna stand there. You gonna do something or just stand there and bleed, man? It's Tombstone. My number 2 is Tombstone. I know it's a little gimmicky that it's a Western, but it's based on a true story. Is it a time period piece? Yeah, but I was telling my wife, I was like, when do we go, like 30 years from now, do we go, well, yeah, but that's a 90s movie. You know what I mean? Like with the Untouchables, do we say, well, yeah, but that's a 40s movie, 30s, 20s movie, like a Prohibition movie. Like, I know it's a timepiece, but everything's a timepiece, really. Tombstone, it's a little bit Hollywood. Like, Wyatt Earp is more kind of dirty, kind of getting you into the cowboy feel, the Western feel. But Tombstone's a masterpiece from start to finish. It's Val Kilmer's best movie, at least in a starring role. Yeah, Tombstone, man. And Kurt Russell, probably one of his best movies. They're endlessly quotable. Action's awesome. Villains are great. Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton again. How many times did Bill Paxton make my list? Yeah, everybody in that movie. It's phenomenal. Billy Zane is in that movie. Great. Imsu is blatantly safe and corporate. No question. But then they have that meeting or something else like that where they literally had all their political points that they were like, we're going to push all of our agendas at the cost of movies now. So and there's nothing wrong with having your movies having something to say, but when your agenda is going to overrule everything in the movie, like beyond story, beyond real character, it rips us out of the movie. Like it's not a secret anymore. We've seen it. We know. You know what I mean? You got to make that an integral part of what's happening, more than just this sucks. This is awesome. You got to do something more than that. They always played safe. I did watch the new Doctor Strange. Was not that impressed. It was okay. Anyway, Seven Samurai is in my top 10. Seven Samurai. Is that the one with Keanu? Because I never saw it. I didn't hear great things, so I kind of skipped it. If that's the one with Keanu, I will definitely give it a rewatch now, or I'll give it a watch since you recommended it. That high.
I think that was 47 Ronin, wasn't it?
You're right. I think you're right. Seven Samurai. I don't know that one. Is it better than The Last Samurai? Because The Last Samurai is amazing. I will say that. Amazing. It should have been in my honorable mention. I'm just going to throw it in there. Honorable mention. That was my number 2, Tombstone. That would be in my top 5 movies all time. Tombstone's amazing.
Oh, man.
Smells like somebody died. God, I love that movie.
Well, we all know where I'm going for my number 1.
We do.
It's my all-time favorite movie of ever, and that is Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Like John said, best way to watch it, only real way to watch it is the full extended cut. Theatrical is all right. I mean, it's still a great movie. I don't know how easy it is to get the theatrical cut anymore, other than the 3D version that came out. Because ever since that extended cut came out on DVD with the extreme cut, that's the cut that's pushed. That's the cut that...
I think that Blu-ray pack I have of all 6 or 7 of them, whatever it is, it has both options, I believe.
Oh, well, look at that. Terminator 2 is such a weird phenomenon. Very rarely does the sequel surpass the original that much. Like, the first Terminator film is a great movie. Fantastic. It hits all the marks. But then Terminator 2 came along and appealed to an even wider audience. It's crazy. It doesn't make sense to be as good as it is. I mean, the cast worked just right. The James Cameron, it was before he got Avatar, thankfully.
But after Piranha 2.
I didn't say no judgment, slight judgment. It was, I mean, it's just, oh my God, I don't have anything negative to say. The fact that majority of the special effects still hold up today is a rarity for a film from that year or before or even after. Half the movies on my list are newer and do not have as good of effects. Chronicles of Riddick effects, 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Easily. I mean, The Rundown has worse effects. Robocop, yeah. Fast and the Furious does in a couple places as well. It's absolutely insane how good, like, the T-1000 looks. Still. Like, yes, you can tell. Yes, you can see it. Yes, you can comprehend it now. But it holds up. It's insane. It's wild. I think that Terminator 2 was such a big movie in my life because A, I liked Arnold, and B, because I could study those effects. Like, Arnold's battle damage, the T-1000 coming in and out of focus with the liquid metal, seeing the explosions, the gunfire, watching Arnold walk through the gunfire at Cyberdyne. That was just awesome when he's getting pelted left and right. Now, I know how they did it, but it's still amazing.
The subtle comedy too, with like, I swear I will not kill anyone. He shoots him in the leg. He's like, he'll live. Like, the percentage down to the decimal point of when he's like taking out all the cop cars and everything. I was like, yeah, and he doesn't kill anybody. He goes, you swore. Trust me. Like, I know now why you cried. Now that's not comedy, but it's something I could never do. Like, the ending actually has a ton of heart out of nowhere. You're like, whoop. Like, you're like, would I have cried more if his mom would have died? Like, if Sarah would have died? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's good. Like, it's endlessly quotable, endlessly epic.
And it's so strange for a movie to have that many settings and still give that much effort from place to place to place to place. Like, I feel like so many movies will get these broad settings and there's forgettable moments. But I can think about Dyson's house. I can think about On the Road. I can think about the mall. I can think about the asylum. I can think about
Asylum's great.
There's so much going on. It's awesome. And
when he comes out of the floor in the asylum, dude, that was always like, that's probably the creepiest moment to me, other than like when the stepmom gets killed or stepdad gets killed.
For me, with the original cut, it was when the stepdad gets killed, and then once I later saw the extended, it was when the T-1000 starts having the errors and his hand turns the black and yellow stripes
from
like the hazard.
From the warning bar. Yeah.
That got me. I was like, oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
I love that movie. It's funny because so many people have been like, no, I think that this movie's higher rated over time. I'm like, okay, let's wait. Let's go ahead and look it up. And every source is like, Terminator 2 is almost always higher rated than every other movie. Somebody tried to bet me that Gangs of New York had a higher rating. No. At least
I can't get into Gangs of New York. It's all dialogue, all build up with no good climax. It just doesn't work for me. It works all the way to the third act and falls on his face.
Yeah, it's Leonardo DiCaprio. It was like a showcase. Here is Leonardo DiCaprio film. It's kind of like Pearl Harbor with Ben Affleck. It has nothing to do with the actual historical event other than it's happening around them. But they're like, look, Ben Affleck in a love story.
Right. It
So
kind of had it kind of was going for what Titanic did, but it missed the Titanic had a decent about what was still happening with a love story in it, and then that was it was a byproduct of what was happening and the tragedy and everything else like that. Pearl Harbor, not so much, not as much. Focused too much on the romance. I agree there, but yeah. Jabari said that I wouldn't like Seven
Seven Samurai.
Samurai. It's old and it's foreign. But I mean, man, based on your recommendation, man, I'll give it a shot if I see it. I really will. Judge me for my pick, but I saw this in theaters in 3D, and my friend was absolutely loved it. I did my first video on YouTube about it, and it was opening. I have the poster in my room now. I adore the anime and a big fan of the franchise. But I picked 2017 Ghost in the Shell in my top 15, for many reasons. But I loved it.
I still haven't seen.
I didn't watch it because I heard bad reviews, and then there was that controversy about Scarlett Johansson and the ethnicity, and it just all of it at the time kind of threw me off. But I'm glad you like it, man. Like if it's on somewhere, if I see it cheap, I'll give it a shot. I really will. I just need a recommendation sometimes when either movies get overhyped or overly crapped on.
I wanted to see it. I just haven't yet. Like, it's been on my list. I really do want to see it. Life, man. Life.
2017 was a very, very hard year for me. So, unfortunately, I think that was a year where, I wasn't in the right mindset for most of those movies anyway. But yeah, man, T2 should be number one. Like, if the god of movie reviews, I don't know who you are, but a big YouTuber or something like that was to make a top 10 best of all time, taking out your emotional whatevers or your favorites, T2 should probably be number one. So yeah, I mean, definitely I would never give you crap for that. T2, yeah.
Yeah.
They build her out. They build her out 2 roles. That was one of them. CGI practical effects are great. It did look beautiful. It really did. It really did. Did the what was the one Lucy? Did that come before or after that? Because I think that movie maybe it just felt a little bit too not gimmicky, but flashy CGI. Same gal. Maybe I was just turned off by that too. But I did see Lucy, and it was okay. It was okay.
Lucy was all right. Now I'm trying to think. Atomic Blonde. That was an awesome movie. I need to go back and rewatch that.
It was okay. It was okay. Yeah. Yeah. My number one, it's, real quick, I want to give one more honorable mention that didn't make it because it wasn't enough action, but it could have fallen in, and it might have made my top 10. But that is Desperate Measures with Michael Keaton, and I can't remember his name. Italian guy from he's from Ocean's 11, 10, and Ocean's 11, 12, and 13. I can't remember his name now, but Godfather Part 3. Anyway, I love that movie. But no, my number one is also my number one of Nick Cage movies, and that is The Rock. The Rock is my number one action movie of all time. A little bit of romance. It's got world-ending kind of stuff going on. You know, that big threat, devastation. It's set on the Rock on Alcatraz, which is just really kind of cool. It's got Tony Todd, Michael Biehn. It's got oh shoot, I can't remember. I can't think of his name. Halloween, the beginning, the angry dad. Anyway, it's got that actor in it. I mean, it's got Sean Connery in my favorite role of his. Ed Harris. Just every single person in that movie is just freaking awesome. The action's great. Michael Bay, maybe? I want to say it's Mike. I don't know why it's escaping me right now, but Bruckheimer. Anyway, love that movie. Also endlessly quotable. You know, winners always complain about their best. Winners go home and prom queen. I just love that when the guy dies underneath the AC unit thing, and he's like. He's trying to take the bomb out, and he's like, "You've seen a lot of dead bodies. Is that normal?" He's like, "Yeah, that's normal." He's like, "Well, can you do something about that?" And Sean Connery's like, "What? Kill him again?" I just, from start to finish, the different settings of the movie, like from the tunnels to the bathroom to the the dormitories to all the different stuff, like the ships at the end, like I Got Green Smoke, like all of it is just a perfect 90s, like I said, devastation action movie of all time. You got the nerdy guy has to rise to the occasion, the old dude they can't quite keep up but has all the little tricks up his sleeve. It's gimmicky just enough. I love that movie start to finish. It's an underrated classic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So man, okay, now we agree that, well, I'm going to agree with you that T2 should be number one. Could we make a top five? Like if we together had to make a top five of all time, taking our biases out of it, like for what it did to the industry at the time, all that good stuff. Do you think we could do a top five? We got T2 as our number one, right? We that's fine. You think a Rambo would make top five? Like the original Rambo? Probably, maybe top five. I don't know, man. Die Hard would probably make top five of all time.
Yeah. The first Rambo definitely would. Die Hard definitely would. And then it's a generic pick, but I almost feel like either Lethal Weapon or oh God. Maybe Lionheart.
No, I don't think Lionheart's gonna make it. I'm thinking, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm thinking the Rambo would be up there in the top five. Lethal Weapon, I'd give you that. Die Hard, we need one more. Let's throw Roadhouse in there. It feels like it's just an '80s manly beat 'em up. Like it just seems like
every time that movie comes up, I hear Ron White. Swayze's Roadhouse kicking another guy. Oh
yeah, yeah. Oh God, yeah. No, that bit. Let's go watch Roadhouse and fondle each other. Like,
yeah,
I love that. Yeah, yeah. I'll probably say that's pretty solid. I was just kind of curious of what you thought, but yeah. I will say I do love Cobra as an honorable mention, but it ain't gonna make it. But that's interesting. Real quick, Caleb. So, James Caan passed away. Rest in peace. Last night I threw in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, but I was reaching for Misery. I really was. I watched 2 weeks ago. I watched Godfather 1 and 2 again. And he's in the first one, a little bit in the second one. In his younger years there. Great actor. Everything he's in, he's very memorable. Whether he's the dad in Elf, or if he's a villain in Eraser or in Bulletproof. My question for you, and if Jabari, if you're still in here, maybe which do you prefer? Which do you think he's better at when it comes to being the villain in those two action movies, which we didn't put on honorable mentions or say anything about? Eraser or Bulletproof? Caleb, what are you going for? What do you think is the better movie maybe he's better in? What do you think?
Eraser.
Yeah,
it sticks with me.
Yeah,
he did such a good job of being both the mentor and like it just
slimy backstabber. Yeah,
I never questioned it the whole movie. Like I questioned more his goons than him. Like
yeah. I like it when Arnold kind of gives that guy the FU look, and the guy's like, "Who does he think he is?" And James Caan's like, he thinks he's the best in the business, and I agree with him. So stay out of his way. Like he's so good. He was such a good villain. I'm sure he played in more villains, but I do like him in Bulletproof. Like at the end, when he's fighting Damon Wayans, he's like, "I'm gonna mess you up," and he takes his hairpiece off. And that commercial that's always playing in the back. Yeah, Jabari said Eraser too. Yeah. Yeah, it's he was a good actor, man. He really was. Caleb, have you seen Godfather 1, 2, 3?
It has been a very, very, very long time. I've wanted to go back, and honestly, speaking of gangster movies, I just saw that Goodfellas is on Netflix, and I am dying to go back and revisit that because it's been forever. And I saw The Irishman's back on Netflix, and I really want to watch that because I still haven't seen it.
Pack your
pretty
bags for
much,
the Irishman.
yeah.
Lower, like slow, like how do I want to put this to you to prepare yourself? Like the Irishman is good, but it's not the same vibe as Wall Street, Goodfellas, Casino, all those other Scorsese movies. It doesn't have the same vibe. This almost comes more of a vibe of a telling a story in a dramatic, almost a dramatic but detached way. Like it's a good movie, it really is. But I went into it with the wrong idea because you're so used to the same Martin Scorsese, music, good things are happening. The bad guy rises through the ranks. He spends some money. You know what I mean? Then all of a sudden there's a downfall thing. It's not the same Martin Scorsese movie. Very different performances. So good movie. I think I went into it with the wrong thoughts. Not that I over anticipated it, because that's different. You know how I feel about that. I just think I went into it with the wrong idea of what it was going to be. Ray Liotta's death shocked me. I have to rewatch Field of Dreams. Yeah, he's good in Field of Dreams. Ray Liotta is another one of those actors, just like James Caan, who's good in everything he's in. I just watched Identity not too long ago. Loved him in Identity. Wild Hogs, he's great in that one too. He's a lot of fun. Everything he's in, man. Field of Dreams, though, good call.
Ray Liotta had the best scolding face. So not like when he's super angry and not when he's like joking, but that like, what is wrong with you? Like it was just the perfect face that was like, man, I feel that. And I don't want to feel that. Like, I don't know. For some reason, whenever I think of him, I think of his characters where he does that, where it's just like that. What the fuck? Like, it just, he was the perfect character for that. And
he's great. He's great also in Blow with Johnny Depp. He plays Johnny Depp's dad. And the same gal, I can't remember her name, that played in Goodfellas as his wife, Ray Liotta's wife in that movie, plays his wife in Blow. And so that it just is a nice little warm and happy, familiar vibe that makes me love Blow even more. I love Blow. It's a great gangster movie. Who was he in Wreck-It Ralph, Jabari? Field of Dreams and Wreck-It Ralph made me cry like a baby. I don't remember who he was in Wreck-It Ralph. I'm trying to rack my brain on that.
I desperately need to get a copy of A Bronx Tale, because every time I start thinking about these gangster movies in the 90s, like the rush of those films, A Bronx Tale was always kind of my favorite. Like, and I remember watching it so much when I was younger, and I don't know, maybe it's because Joe Pesci felt a lot stronger in that role, but yeah, I need to get some of those gangster movies in my collection. Speaking of, man, can we talk about the fact that American Gangster is still fantastic?
Oh, man.
It's still a great movie. Like, wow. Wow, when I first saw it, I was just blown away at how good it was. Yeah.
Now, I'll see you American Gangster, and I'll raise you New Jack City. Now, it's not as good as a movie, but it's more like early 90s, late 80s.
It's solidified its place as a classic, whereas American Gangster's like a modern masterpiece. Of course, that's going to get No, I agree.
I just love New Jack City because it just feels like another one of those like underappreciated, like people don't talk about it enough, and it's got an all-star cast. I love Ice-T, and I don't know why, because he's not like the most dramatic actor in the world. He just captivates me. Like, I just do. Yeah, dude. New Jack City, man. And Chris Rock, man. Chris Rock is phenomenal in that. Like, you could see how like the great actor that he was going to be in that movie. Did you say you haven't seen it yet?
No, I said I haven't seen it in forever.
Oh, okay, my bad. But no, yeah, and then Wesley Snipes, dude, and it's just so good. It's just, and it's a fun gangster movie that's very different than a lot of gangster movies. Like New Jack City is just great, and I love all gangster movies. I'm wanting to rewatch Sopranos right now, but it sucks me in. I just anything else, Caleb, before we go?
Be safe. Don't do drugs. Hope you all kept all your fingers and toes this 4th. What a time to be alive.
Anyway, you guys, if you're watching in the future, make sure and comment down below. Let us know your top 10s. If you watched with us, Jabari, Casey, we really appreciate it. We will be back next week. Not really sure yet. Will we be back to horror? Will we be back to something else? I'm digging these top 10s. It's fun. We can blast through a lot of good stuff. And I swear, Aliens is not going to be on my top everything. I promise. Someday I will get it off of there. But yeah,
Yep,
really appreciate you guys.
Maybe it won't be in your top 10 comedy, you know?
Yeah. Hey, there you go. Top 10 comedy. I like that. It could be fun. Yeah. But yeah, do us a favor if you didn't mind. Hit that like button. I really appreciate it. Let me help your finger get up there. Press that like button. I even struggle with it. Do us a favor if you enjoy us, if you're friends with us, hit that subscribe. We really appreciate it. Till next time, we're out of here.
Peace.